Grant and Ethan holding it down in the cities, haven't been shot yet, thankfully. Not that they're ever in any danger, but they live in the city, so there is always that assumed risk.
Well, Dylan, don't forget when you came into town 3 summers ago, when we picked you up at 11:30, we drove by the gas station by my house, and I said, "Watch out, someone's going to get robbed there this weekend." We're coming home from the Twins game.
No, we said murdered.
Murdered.
We said murdered.
We said murdered. We're like, yeah, someone's going to get shot there this weekend. We come home from the Twins game that night, and there are 6 squad cars outside of this gas station, and somebody was in fact murdered that night.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
We're
they
basically
had the
the
yellow
Grim
tape and
Reapers,
everything.
guys.
they had the yellow tape and everything. So we pretty much called that guy's life to end at 11:30. But
You know, don't do drugs, kids. Listen to your
do
DARE
drugs,
program.
kids. Yeah. Like Nancy Reagan, just say no.
Just say no.
Just say
no. What was that? That was when Jalen wrote when Michigan played Illinois. There was in the Fab Five documentary them talking about that when he was allegedly at a crack house and had to allegedly. But we've got we will not be discussing Minneapolis crime or if we've ever been in a dope house before.
Crack
or
house.
who allegedly has or hasn't been in a crack house, dope house. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about euphoric feelings that may feel like crack. I personally have never tried crack. Grant has, but I never have. Ethan hasn't either. But
oh boy, you can smell it.
Yeah. But we'll talk about the euphoric feelings that Rory McIlroy felt after he won the Masters, which was an incredible Sunday. It had everything. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. And I'm not going to be trying to quote Shakespeare here, but he is from the other side of the pond, and I think Shakespeare's from England or that area, something. Whatever. They lost to us in 1776, but. It felt like the first 12 holes, Rory is going to walk to a green jacket, and then 13 happens. And this is a lesson for all golfers here. This is why you do not lay up and ever go conservative, because then what happened on 13 to Rory is what happens to you. You go for it every single time because he hit one of the worst iron shots, and he did this multiple times. He did this on 13 or wedge shots, 13 and 18, that put him in this position to where it ended up coming down. And it was, you've seen it in multiple different Masters, especially after the first day where he didn't play terrible. And there was somebody wrote a column talking about there's no more excuses for Rory. And I don't know if he read it or not, but you watched him come out Friday and Saturday and just come guns blazing, ready to roll, and had a 4-shot or 2-shot lead going into Sunday, and felt like he was going to walk to it. And 13 happened, and then to his credit, he was able to battle back, keep it interesting, and all of a sudden he had a 7-foot putt to win it, and he missed it. And then in the playoff, he gets to redeem himself. And Rory, in these past few years, has kind of had a little bit of a mixed reputation. There's people that really love Rory. There's people that can't stand Rory. Personally, I've been pretty neutral on him. I didn't like him or didn't not like him. I'm not going to love him. He's not probably my favorite golfer, but he's a hell of a golfer. And the way he lost the U.S. Open last year, he missed those 2 3-foot putts and then stormed off. And you could see just the emotions, the frustration that he had. And you can really, I'd say, resonate with that too, because I think it's such a good, analogy with life is you can have things just going great, and then something happens. How do you respond to it? And he kept battling back, and you could tell. And I think that was part of the reason by the end of it, I found myself cheering for Rory to win, because if he had walked away, I would have been like, yeah, good for him, whatever. But seeing everything that he went through, the highs, the lows, and then seeing him just become so overcome with emotion when he sunk that final putt in the playoff to win it, it was like, you know what? good for Rory. He's earned this one, and it was one of those Masters, those legendary Masters. We talked about it a lot on last week's episode of that. We want it to come down to the final hole, come down to a playoff, and that's what we got.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Like on 13 when he went in the water, just be aggressive. It's what got you there, and that goes for every sport. It's not just golf. Like so many of these players just kind of reel it in when they think they have a lead. Dumbest thing ever. It literally backfires every single time. Yeah, it's the momentum completely changes. You get screwed. It's a joke. Like it's just keep put the foot on the throttle. Go for the throw. Why is it so hard to slip the throw? Like why? Like I've never understood why that's so hard for people to do. 1 second, Boone's eating something.
Well, Grant, what are your thoughts on Rory winning the Masters?
It shows kind of just, I think, the mental toughness that Rory has built up over these last 10 years, trying to finish off his career Grand Slam and just win a major. Before on Sunday, where he's had multiple opportunities to win another major, and he's pissed it away. And I'm not, you can't tell yourself after that debacle on those last 6 holes that you thought he was going to win this thing. You had to think to yourself, this thing's over. Like he is mentally just gone.
I thought my guy was going to win. I thought Oberg was going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Like you had to assume when he's fallen apart like that, especially after that missed putt in 18, that there's no way he's winning this thing. Like he's going to sit back. It's going to be the same old Rory. He can't finish when he needs to. His short game's going to let him down again, and especially the game of golf. Like every sport is mentally challenging. There's no easy professional sport out there. A lot of high pressure situations, very stressful. You put in all this work throughout the year for this one singular moment, and you're just going to blow it like that. And especially golf. Golf's, like I said, the hardest mental sport out there. I thought he was cooked. And then you're going to get the same old jokes again. Rory can't do it. Rory can't finish when he needs to. But he had the mental toughness and fortitude to turn it around. And he did it. And it showed in his celebration. As soon as that putt went in on the first playoff hole, the gratitude that left his body and just the monkey that was pulled off his back when he went right to the floor. It was cool to see.
Yeah, and even like that first hole, it was like, oh, like you thought right away when he goes in doubles one. And obviously hindsight's 2020, but then you go look and see the role that he went on after that. And it was like that was almost good. You hear quarterbacks talk about they throw that one interception where it was like they got that one mistake out of the way. Now let's just go play. And that was kind of what it felt like for Rory for the 2 through 12. And then it got to the nut cutting time and found a way. And we were talking about this in our group chat on Sunday after he won it. Like, Ethan, you bring up a tremendous point that like he could go on a run, and obviously there's got to be a lot to happen. But if you look at the PGA, the US Open, and the Open Championship, their locations, the PGA is at Quail Hollow, place he's played really well at over the years. US Open is at Oakmont, place he's played really well at. The Open Championship is going to be played in Northern Ireland, not far from where he grew up. So I mean, there's a possibility that he could win a grand slam in the season, and especially like the way you saw that emotion just completely come off him. How excited it was, almost like the Steve Young when he won the Super Bowl, where he's got the guys like, okay, take the monkey off my back. That's what it was. It wasn't Rory against Auberg. It wasn't Rory against DeChambeau. It wasn't Rory against Rose. It was at this point in his career. It was Rory versus Rory of like, can he get over this? And he finally did.
Like, I'm not saying he's going to be like Tiger, anything like that, but he's the only other guy we've ever even seen in our life win the Grand Slam. Like, he could easily reel off 5, 6, 7, 10 more majors. Like, he's only like 35 years old. Like, people Hannah thought he was over 40. He's only 35, and no offense with how he works out and he keeps himself like healthy and just works out all the time, eats right. There's no reason he can't keep winning titles at 50.
Oh, for sure. Well, and I think you're going to see a theme for that, because if you look at the guys on the tour right now, like they aren't like they aren't dad bods anymore. They're yoked. Like the nutrition, the health, the exercise that they do, they put their bodies through, like, and the way their diet, I think we're going to see a lot of guys that we now that are like, I guess weird to say, around our age, they're going to be playing into their 50s just because of the way they take care of their body. And talking about the Grand Slam, we could potentially, and I think this is a big time, it'd be a big shocker if we do see it, but we could potentially see another PGA player get a career Grand Slam at the PGA Championship here in about a month. Do you guys know who that is?
Let's see. Would it be Phil?
Nope.
No. Or Koepka?
Well, nope, it wouldn't be Koepka. Koepka doesn't have the Open or the Masters.
I'm trying to think who it could be. I mean, it's obviously not Scheffler. He's only won the Masters, which is kind of mind-blowing to think.
Yeah, he's only won 2 Masters. And
it could be in the next 2 tournaments, I guess. So, like, Phil needs the U.S. Phil's never won the U.S. Open.
But Phil's won the Open in the PGA, in the Masters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's on the tour now.
Yeah.
He's not a live golfer. He's a PGA golfer.
He's a PGA golfer.
And you can go for the career Grand Slam in the next 2. So the PGA or the U.S. Open?
Nope. The PGA.
PGA.
Sorry.
U.S. Open, Masters, Open champ.
Is Spieth a PGA guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
It could be Jordan.
I'm gonna go Spieth.
It is Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
Because he was in 2015. I was looking this up and I was like trying to find Grand Slam guys, and I just started looking up golfers. So Jordan Spieth actually was probably the closest that we've seen to winning a in-season Grand Slam. Well, and there's actually been one, but it's very interesting here. And if you guys guess this guy correctly, who in PGA history, the only person that's ever been credited with a Grand Slam, an in-season Grand Slam. But Spieth, he won the Masters in 15, won the U.S. Open in 15. He took second at the PGA in 2015, and I believe he took like second or third at the Open in 2015 as well.
It's kind of crazy, but 10 years ago, you would have thought Spieth was going to be the guy. He was going to be the face of golf, and he hasn't taken over like I thought he was.
Tied for 4th in 2015. Well, and I didn't even realize that he won the Open Championship in 17 until I looked it up, because like he still must have like some just serious mental like blockage there from what happened at the 16 Masters, where he just completely fell apart on, was it 12 or 13?
I don't even remember.
I don't know.
But yeah, if Spieth wins the PGA Championship next month, he would have a career Grand Slam, and if Phil wins the U.S. Open, he would also have a Grand Slam.
That's wild.
My last question is $100. If you guys guess, who is the only person ever credited with a in-season Grand Slam?
I don't think it's Tiger. I bet it's the first guy.
It's the first guy.
43 or something. I can't remember his name.
43, 42. It's got to be that first guy. Is it Gene? Is his first name Gene with a G?
Nope. Because also remember that it wasn't the way this Grand Slam was credited. It is not the 4 majors that it is now.
Oh, I have no idea.
It is. His name is Bobby
VJ
Jones.
Singh.
He did it.
Who?
Bobby Jones. He did it in
Bobby Jones.
1930. He won the Open, the U.S. Open, the British and U.S. Amateur Championship. That's what the internet said is the only person who's ever credited with an in-season Grand Slam.
Interesting.
So,
Because this was
How
the
close was
89th
Tiger?
Masters.
what's that?
I don't know.
How close was Tiger? Do we know?
I don't know. Would have to dig into it, but because I'm not sure. I know there were a few years that like probably it was kind of shocking that he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see here. But well, you know you're good at golf when you have a Wikipedia page dedicated just to your professional career.
Oh yeah.
It's decent.
Uh-huh. But let's move on to there were a lot of things that were happening in college football over the weekend, and we're gonna get to some the Nico situation, but there were a couple of other college football news that came out that I feel the need that we have to discuss. The first one is this was found out on Twitter that Ryan Day's wife alleges that her husband has never dyed his beard once. She clapped back at Clay Travis for saying. You see, Grant, this is why I throw random things in there so I can get your real raw reaction.
This bitch.
Well, that's not no.
No one's beard is generally that black unless you're from Armenia, and he's not from Armenia. And with the stress and the hours that these college football coaches have, it's a miracle Ryan Day still has hair, and he's not.
What
50
if
pounds overweight like Josh?
What if he doesn't dye it, but maybe he just? What if he doesn't dye it, but he just dips it in like oil or something each day?
That's the same thing.
It's technically not dyeing; like, it's just dipping it in oil.
He's got a thing of Pennzoil in his
He's
garage.
altering
and he
his
puts
beard.
His face in there in the morning.
Oh, I could totally see Ryan Day doing something like that.
100%. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, not a chance. That dude, that beard is not natural.
No.
I'm 31. I'm 31 years old, and I have about 1,000% less stress than that man has, and I have a few gray whiskers in my beard. And also,
That's true.
that guy's what 18 years older than me, maybe 20 years older than me. He's got gray in his beard. Give me a break.
Plus the stress of like I don't even know.
Yeah, honestly, being a coach in college athletics right now might be the worst job in the world. Seriously.
Oh, big time.
I'd rather be the president.
Yeah,
of the
it
United
would
States.
suck. Can you imagine? Grant, you should go look up how many players South Dakota football has lost in the past week.
Dude, they were so
the Coyotes.
It's bad.
So Grant, they going into the upcoming season. They right now as it stands. Prior, like once NDSU won their 10th national title, the way too early top 25 comes out. South Dakota was the number 2 team in the country behind NDSU. They got Aiden Bauman back. They were supposed to have 4 returning offensive linemen. 3 of them have left for the portal. They've lost the All-American D tackle that I believe is at Kentucky.
Oh my God.
And they lost their top receiver.
The left tackle is visiting Wisconsin. Linebacker.
Dude.
He's going to USC this weekend. Cornerback entered tonight too.
Did their coach retire?
The portal opened today. He retired.
So Grant, this is the wild part about this.
Question, guys. Question. since the FCS playoffs are going on during the winter portal, these guys can they not go in the winter portal?
So once their season ends, they get like
They sure can
10
if they
days.
want.
Yeah, they get like an extension on it because of when their season was going.
Yeah, but for the winter.
Yeah. That's part of it. The winter portal is once the season ends, they get that extension of whenever their season ends. They get like, I don't think it's 10. I think it's 5. I'm not positive on the number, but they get extra days to figure out what they're going to do with their life. So that winter portal closes. Their head coach, Bob Nielsen, retires. So he could like kind of limit like guys that can't leave, and like coaches leave, they can still kind of feel that out and decide to go because of a coaching change. And they get through that, and it was everything's still like hunky dory, and all of a sudden it was just one after another that guys left for the portal.
So in the spring session when it opened here.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's risky and smart at the same time. Risky in the sense like you don't really know exactly what the rosters are going to be like, and you don't know what money they have at this point because like the fall and the winter, they probably gave out a lot of that NIL money. But a lot of these teams now are only filling holes. So if you're really good, you are going to have a lot of options, and you will get paid quite well to fill these holes at some of the big products. Every one of those guys that's transferred, strong Power 5 interest.
Yep. Because I know what the guy that just left.
Could be starters at the Power 5.
The guy that just left has strong Michigan offer. Or Michigan is very interested in, and then NDSU just lost their starting running back, the Jerry Rice Award winner.
Yep.
Marty Brown is going into the portal, which is a big loss. They lost
Freshman year.
Siamano, the stud linebacker. That was a big loss. That one, it sucks to lose, but that's a position NDSU is actually somewhat fairly deep on. But a playmaker like him, and especially if you watch the 2 South Dakota State games, that he was a difference maker on that defense. So that's going to be a huge one to get. And the Marty Brown one, that one sucks. And I think it opens for 10 more or 9 more days, and hopefully it's damage control is done to a minimum. But right now, I think I saw right when it opened, there were over 330 players already in the Division I players in the transfer portal for the spring.
So pretty much these FCS kids, if they're FCS All-Americans, let's say with a 4th to 5th round NFL grade on them. But they're an FCS All-American. Going into next year, you can essentially guarantee they're going to transfer to try to go to a Power 5, get more in the limelight, and improve their draft ability. I feel bad for these FCS schools because at this point, all they are is just minor league baseball.
Yeah. Honestly, that might be the pitch.
Essentially, yeah.
That's going to be the like recruiting pitches. If you're able to keep guys for 2 or 3 years, and then basically say, if you want to go, thank you.
Yep.
Essentially, I mean, that's essentially what winning at this point. Until NDSU finds a way to get up to the FBS, that's almost what they're going to be, or feels like they could be.
To your point, Dylan, NDSU gets an under recruited linebacker from Colorado when he was in high school because he was only 200 pounds. He goes there for 2 years, gets up to 220, becomes a stud, transfers to Missouri. Then when you're talking to the next under-recruited high school linebacker, you can say, well, hey, this guy at Missouri, he started here. That's your pitch.
Essentially. And even though too, like that's the other part is because I feel like a lot of like these NDSU guys, it's not about exposure, because you go to any NDSU game for this matter, 10 years, NFL scouts are there. Like they're finding guys, whether it be whoever, they find guys. Like you're not like, especially at the FCS level, you're not going to find a team that gets more NFL love than NDSU. I think at that point it's basically just coming down to how
Dollars.
much India or how much, the dollars. I mean, you look at a guy like Enoch Siamano, like if you understand his story, his family came from a country in Africa. I don't know the situation personally or close to it, but I can't imagine it's like they're rolling around in cash to the point where it's like that's their ticket out. If he can get some money, he can help his family out and improve his draft stock to get to the NFL and prove that he can do it at that high level. Good for him, and you wish him luck. It's not like it's the old days where you go onto Twitter, you tweet horrible things at them and wish everything bad under the sun happens to them and their family. I mean, that's obviously not healthy and should never be done. But at this point, you wish them well, you thank them for what they've done, and hope they do well, and then find the next guy. I mean, NDSU is built on the foundation of it's the next man up. We want guys that want to be Bison, and they're gonna continue to be successful with that attitude of they can't sit here be the poor me, we're getting gutted by the portal. It's next man up. It's an opportunity for some guy that isn't playing much to go and show what they can do at the Division I level.
That's a good spin on it, Dylan, for an NDSU argument, but that's just brutal that's how you have to now build your program these days at the FCS level. Because you're going to have those players leave all the time. And at a school like South Dakota, where they're historically not a top two program, where they've been there recently, like that's tough. That's tough for them.
Yeah. But apparently things aren't.
We haven't even got to Nico, the big one.
No, I got one more thing too before that. Did you guys see that Colorado is retiring Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter's number?
So stupid.
And we don't have to talk like Travis Hunter. The guy won a Heisman. You win a Heisman. You deserve to have your number retired. I don't think there's any argument there on that one.
Not on that one. Not on that one.
Sanders
it's the Shedeur one.
This is a full, and it sounds like that was like a big thing this is a strictly Deion move, because do you know whose number is not retired at Colorado?
Cordell
Stewart, or I believe I got to look at the guy's name again, but Darian Hagan, a guy that won a national championship for Colorado under Bill McCartney. His jersey is not retired. And I believe there was a number 2 that was like an All-American that played around that time they won the national title, and he was like an All-Pro cornerback, had a good career in the NFL. His number is also not retired. And if they want to retire the number 2, it should be for that guy, not Shedeur Sanders, a guy that is 13-12 at Colorado, was, the team was 13-12. I believe he actually has a losing record because he didn't play in some of those games, or a handful of those games, because he was hurt. And I think for quarterback, we talk about being a quarterback that you play by a different set of rules. And fair or not, I'm not in the business of being fair, but he doesn't have the legacy of having his jersey retired. Outside of his last name being Sanders and his dad being the head coach.
Correct.
Was he a good player?
Yep.
Yes.
Sure.
Is he going to be does he have the potential to be a good player in the NFL? Probably. Depending if he goes to the right situation. But give me a break. He doesn't deserve to have the number retired.
To retire someone's number and jersey, that means you cannot write the history of that program without that individual. And your point, Dylan? Travis Hunter won a Heisman Trophy. In 2024, he was the best player in college football. Is that the only Heisman Trophy in Colorado history? Probably, because I don't think Cordell Stewart ever won it.
1994, Rashaan Salam. And it was like 20 years, and it took him to die to get his jersey retired at Colorado.
Yeah, this is just another play that that Deion is doing before these guys go to the draft, where people can talk about him again. But when they talk about Shedeur Sanders 20 years from now at Colorado, what are they going to say? His best conference win was a November game against Utah? Like, where's the conference championship? Where's a trip to the Rose Bowl? Where's a
Didn't
win?
even win a bowl game.
That's what I'm saying. There's no true legacy there. They were 1-8 the year in the Pac-12. He was there. Well, his best home win in Colorado was when they beat the shit out of Nebraska 2 years ago when they were a shitty team, and they had all the hype because Fox did that to them. It's just not right. Tim Tebow doesn't even have his number retired at Florida.
I was just gonna say that too. Was Tim Tebow good at Florida?
That is crazy to think about. Yeah.
I mean, that one doesn't make sense. Like, it should have been retired the next day, like when he left campus.
He wasn't a good enough leader if you look at the rap sheet that the rest of his teammates had.
I knew Aaron Hernandez was going to let people down, even though he wasn't alive these days.
Well, you could say he let himself down.
yes, he did.
And, I was going to say another person who's going to be letting himself down, not in that way, but for his recent decision to enter the transfer portal. So now we'll talk about Nico Iamaleava leaving. And yes, did I practice saying that 100 times today? Yes, I did.
Smart.
I wouldn't even attempt it.
Yes, you are.
Yep.
Do I care? No, I do not. Because we want to be factually correct here. We want to do things the right way and the process of it. So, yes, Nico Iamaleava, it was announced on Friday that he was going to that there were some issues with his ongoing contract negotiations, I think is how they worded that. Is that's I believe that's right.
Yeah. Hold
Basically,
on. Are we still calling these people student athletes?
No.
Good. I don't want to hear that term student athlete ever again if we're negotiating NIL deals at the college level.
And we can't even really consider it NIL deals because we'll call it for what it is. It is pay for play.
Pay for play.
And it was announced Saturday before the spring game that he was no longer a part of the program. And Josh Heupel, I think, smart by him to basically say, hey, we're not doing this. And I thought in his press conference, he said nobody is above the power T, including him. And I think it's good to send a message because the way it looks right now, and I know Nico is officially in the portal, but he has a do not contact tag. I don't know if you guys saw that today, but he apparently has a do not contact tag. And
he committed.
I heard UCLA, Dylan.
Yeah, he went to UCLA.
When did that get announced?
Colin Cowherd broke it, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Cowherd hasn't done much with his career in these last 4 years, so he had to do something. And apparently this was it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it doesn't sound like it's official yet, but it sounds like he's reportedly set to transfer.
Multiple people have said it.
No. Oh, well, now NBC Sports is Nico heading to UCLA. Ugly breakup with Tennessee. Expected to transfer to UCLA. But was it nonetheless
an ugly breakup, or Tennessee just straight up dumped his ass?
They pretty much only kicked the curb.
Ass. Yeah, and that's his side trying to say. That's his camp trying to say ugly breakup. They didn't want him anymore. They said get out of here.
I'm just reading the headline. I didn't read the article.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And I'm just cutting the bullshit away. From this Nico clown.
And apparently there were signs about this in high school as well. I guess he's got a younger brother that his dad pulled from the school that he was currently at and transferred because he wasn't getting the ball enough. I guess his brother's a receiver. But it was, and apparently, like, also crazy is that we always talked about the guys sitting out bowl games, but they're sitting out meaningless ones, not sitting out well. We almost had the situation of what's going to happen if a guy sits out a playoff game. And apparently we almost had this against Ohio State. Maybe that explains why Tennessee played the way they did, having to deal with that garbage and distractions. And frankly, him going from $2 million to wanting $4 million because Carson Beck, that's what he got at Miami. And Carson Beck didn't have a great season last year, but he was a heck of a lot better than Nico was. And Nico, he threw for 19 touchdowns. He didn't even throw for over 3,000 yards. And 7 of those touchdowns came against UTEP. Roast Beef Tech is Colin Cowherd. Yep. And he had one against like the top 5 opponents that he played, had a bunch of turnovers, and he was not the reason he wasn't the reason Tennessee was in the playoff last year. It was because they had a tremendous defense, and Dylan Sampson is a hell of a running back that probably should be, if whoever drafts him in that 3rd or 4th round range, got a steal.
Well, you know what's funny? Dylan, you mentioned he only had the 19 touchdowns.
Was it his?
I was watching some of the highlights today when I was at the gym on First Take, Sports Center, whatever, somewhere in ESPN. All the receivers he's throwing to in his highlights are wide open. He's not making any tough throws. He's not maneuvering the pocket, getting out of pressure, good pocket presence. He's just throwing to guys who are literally wide open, and he's throwing the ball.
Only ball he can throw is the deep post.
Exactly. The RPO, and he hits the guy in the skinny post when no one else is around.
Yep.
And it's funny.
Yep, that's all it is.
Cowherd, West Coast ball washer that he is.
Tell him how you feel, Grant.
I will say, Colin Cowherd, his work has diminished significantly in these past 5 years. He's now almost unlistenable. Because he's just such a West Coast ball washer. He tries to promote, when he broke the news that Nico was transferring to UCLA, that it wasn't money related. It was the Tennessee offense, and his camp felt.
Yeah, that's what his relative is feeding him. BS.
Offense couldn't get him to the next level. So you're going to go to a school at UCLA. Now, hear me out, guys. Hear me out. This is why Colin sucks at his job. Where their OC, the next play he calls is going to be the first play call he ever has at the FBS level.
Does he not realize that Josh Heupel, who were the last 2 quarterbacks that played at Tennessee? Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton. Both are NFL quarterbacks.
Both are in the
Hendon Hooker, there's a fair argument to be made that had he not torn his ACL, he could be a starter on an NFL team right now.
He could have been a first-round pick that year.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Nico, this isn't about the offense. No, it's not all about the money. It's all about the money.
And the thing is, too, now, if you look, like, he's going to get less than what he was getting paid at Tennessee. It sounds like his cap is like $1 million. And you know what? The other part, too, is because now the reports of him threatening to hold out of a playoff game. How do you go in as the quarterback, the leader, the alpha of the locker room, and win your teammates over where it's like, oh, I'm not getting paid what I think I'm supposed to be getting paid? Whatever. Like, how do you win your teammates over? How do you get guys that are going to be like, yeah, I want to block for you. Yeah, if you get knocked down, I want to pick you back up. Good luck.
Well, Dylan, that's why none of his teammates went on social media and put the emojis they were sad he was leaving. Nobody defended him. Like Ethan said this weekend, he's a cancer to the locker room. And you know what's funny? He's a total cancer to that locker room, and they're happy to see him gone, because if he was as good as the player coming out of high school that we thought he was going to be, Josh Heupel would have gone to hell and back to keep him to stay.
Oh, yes, that's another part of it.
He let him walk out the door. But you know what's funny? You can just show that when these kids are going through their recruiting these days, they don't actually care about the school, the coach, the system that's going to get them to the NFL. It's all a numbers game, because he's from California, which is sad. He's from California, but if you look at it, that 2023 group of quarterbacks, USC had was it Malachi Nelson, and UCLA, their quarterback was the dude who's now at Oregon. There was nowhere else on the West Coast for him to go. So he's a kid from Southern California is going to go across the country and live in the state of Tennessee. I could have told you that this was a bad ending waiting to happen because it's the culture fit is just not there individually as a person.
And the part of it is it's like you look at like the how much this has screwed up like kids' futures, like and some of it he might be getting bad advice. But I don't think that's entirely completely out of the realm because it does sound like his dad is kind of a piece of work and tough to deal with. But the other part about that is like you look at these quarterbacks, like the top ranked quarterbacks in that 23 class, like 8 of the 9 are already on their second or third. You look at the guy that was at Boise State that lost the starting job. He's at UTEP right now.
Jackson Arnold.
Malachi Nelson. Jackson Arnold. Another quarterback. And then Jalen Rashada. He was the starting quarterback at Arizona State. Transferred to Georgia to be a backup, which also didn't make any sense at all. And now he's at some school.
He also left Florida. USA. He also left Florida because they wasn't about NIL or something. He left Florida to go to Arizona State initially.
Yeah, and he was originally committed to Miami before that, and then Florida swooped in with that NIL package because it was like a $10 million NIL package at Miami. Florida offered the $13 million that they didn't have. He transfers to Arizona State, plays there for a year, then goes to Georgia, and now he's at somewhere in Conference USA, and I don't know exactly where it is. But
boy, that boy went to Arizona.
God, he's the AJ Store of college football.
That boy went to Arizona.
That dude's on his 8th team in 8 years.
That just
I want to say the only league he hasn't played in now is the SEC, if I remember. No, he's in the SEC. He's at Ole Miss. Who is it? The Pac-12 or something? I can't. I think it's literally just the Pac-12. It's the only conference he didn't play in.
Jeez.
Played in the Big 10, Big 12, Big East, SEC.
That's wild.
Oh my! Well, even the guy from Michigan. He was a freshman. I can't think of his name, but he just transferred to Vanderbilt. He was at Michigan, Arizona State, transferred to another school. Now he's at Vanderbilt. He's on his 4th school in 4 years.
That's right. Like I wouldn't take a guy that's transferred more than one time. Honestly,
no.
Like Ethan, I get it. Everybody deserves one transfer because maybe when you're 18 and you say, you know what, I'm going to go to the University of Iowa. You think it's the right fit. You go there for a year and a half, 2 years. You realize, you know what? Nope, not for me. I'm playing a position I don't want to play. The coaching staff doesn't get me. Maybe I'm far away from home. I grew up in Florida. I was a 3-star player, but there's a lot of good defensive backs in Florida. I'm going to go to Iowa. They put some guys in the NFL. It's not for me. If you want to transfer, I get it because students are allowed to transfer. But it's when you're going every single season because you're not good enough to play and you're going somewhere else because a new head coach said, hey, you know what, you can come in and compete for me. And then once again, you're not good enough to play where you need to go to another school. Stop. I wouldn't bring him in.
And also,
Wisconsin.
there are far more success stories of guys sticking it out at the school they're at, working their way up and finding a place, having a legacy, than these guys that transfer 3 different schools in 4 years or four different schools in 4 years. And that's the beauty of it. Like there's so much of this like quick, I can't remember the word or the phrase of like grad or acknowledgement of like immediate instant gratification. That's the words. I was looking for. We live in like where people just expect for things to happen now. I mean, and we can tie it back to how we started the show talking about Rory winning the Masters. It was not easy. Nothing and it's a metaphor for life. And now I might go on a tangent here, but like nothing in this life is going to be easy. You're going to get the shit kicked out of you. You're going to get knocked down. Things may be going good. Something happens. You're down. It's all about how you respond, and going from one school to another after, coach said something mean to me, I'm going to quit, I'm going to transfer. You don't learn anything. You don't grow from that. There's so much you learn from yourself of sitting there doing taking your licks, growing, learning from it, and moving on and bettering yourself. You find out so much more about yourself that when situations happen, far more big and more larger crises in life outside of playing a game, if you learn from those experiences of how you respond to it when you're actually out in the real world.
Yeah.
Well, people forget Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls in New England. There was a 10-year stretch where he didn't win any.
Yep. And he had two great opportunities.
2 great opportunities, and the Patriots couldn't close out those games.
2 of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history.
They're winning. They're right there.
From having 9 Super Bowls.
Sometimes things just don't go your way. Life is your point, not always rainbows and unicorns. Like you're exactly right. The instant gratification, don't be chasing that because it's not going to happen.
Nope. But this has been that was a good discussion. Look at us. Look at us. If you came here for life advice, or you thought this podcast was going to give you good life advice,
or talk about balls.
Yeah. I mean, if you came for that, well, you're welcome. But usually we do not have these type of conversations. And I feel like when we listen back to this tomorrow, I think we're all going to be ready to run through brick walls.
I wonder if Jenna's watching tonight, Grant.
I don't know. Jenna, she hasn't been feeling good. She hasn't been feeling good these last couple days. She's been sick.
Oh, what a poor little girl.
I don't know if the norovirus or something's going through her house.
Oh, God, don't even bring that up.
But if not tonight, I know she's going to listen on her way to work tomorrow, because she's going to listen, one, for her sports updates, because that's the only place she gets them from. But then 2, she likes to listen for Curveball of the Week, because then she can ask her students.
Yeah. Oh, that is
so either
good.
way, we're going to make her day by either bringing her up tonight, or she's going to randomly hear it tomorrow on her way to work and be like, oh, my God.
Oh, my God, my mind is blown. She was like,
I'm half expecting a text right now, just some smart-ass response, but it might have to wait.
It might have to wait. It might be tomorrow.
That's fair.
Like, oh, my God, because guess what? Last week, 2 weeks ago, when we gave her the birthday shout, she loved it.
Yeah,
she texted.
I'm sure she did.
She texted me the next day, and she's like, my own personal little birthday shout with the emoji with the three hearts on the side where you're smiling. 6 or 7 of those. So,
I wish I could turn 29 3 times, but that's just me.
That lucky girl, lucky girl.
Yeah.
But the NBA playoffs are underway. Ethan, how do you feel about the Wolves' chances against the Lakers?
It's so hard. I like the matchup just because Gobert has been just absolutely dominant inside the past 3 weeks. They have nobody to match up with him. So if they literally play through Gobert, but the thing is they can't put Gobert in the pick and roll. That's going to be the hard thing. You want to put whoever Luka is guarding, which they're not going to put him on Gobert. You need to run the pick and roll game through that guy, whether that's McDaniels, Naz Reid, Randall, whoever it is, whoever Luka's guarding, that's who you have to switch on to, because then, boom, advantage right there. You have to get him in foul trouble, or you're looking at probably a 6 or 7 game series if you don't do that.
I think a big key for this one is I think Julius Randle needs to have a big series, because his reputation is he's been a tremendous regular season player, but then he just disappears in the playoffs. I think if you get a good Julius Randle, like a 2021 when he played for the Knicks, where he was an all-star, level Julius Randle. I think the Wolves win this in 6 or 7. And
are we talking? Sorry, Dylan. Are we talking 17-8 from Randle this series?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Like he needs to be a factor on the defensive end.
Yeah,
too.
Ever since he started moving the ball, passing the ball, he's been absolutely fantastic.
And the other part of it too is the Wolves need to keep their composure because they are playing the Lakers, one of the big names in the NBA. The Wolves have to go into this series knowing for a fact that they are any 50-50 call, they are not going to get. And they need to not let their emotions get the better of them, because we've seen this from Edwards, who, when things don't go well, he kind of has a little bit of a tendency to pout, have his arms up, kind of that cat syndrome that was plagued him for years. They just got to go on to the next play. Maybe we send them the clip of what we talked about, the failures that are going to lead to the successes. Maybe we send the Wolves that clip, that section, and it inspires them to play well and not worry about what happened. Just focus on what to do next. The so what now what mentality.
And don't get caught up remember last year's Western Conference Finals, where Luka got all those calls, and it affected the Wolves mentally. Like he's just like Shea. He's gonna foul bait and he's gonna get some calls. He didn't last year in the finals, but that was because the NBA was like, hey, if these games are isolated, we can't have this guy getting all these calls like this. This is ridiculous. But don't let last year's failure get in your mindset for this season.
Yeah, but it's too long of a series.
If they lock in, they should win the series.
There's a chance this series could be going on when we're in Arizona.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because Game 7 is supposed
to be Phoenix doesn't play.
Yeah, that's kind of a
too bad Phoenix didn't make the playoffs. That would have been cool if someone wanted to go to the game down there.
Yeah, I was there. I went to one last year.
Had KD
I looked at.
Sorry, Ethan, go on.
Go ahead.
I was just say had KD.
I was just gonna say I looked for D-backs games, but not there on the road that weekend.
Oh, damn.
Bastards.
I know. I was like, that would have been fun too. Like,
yeah.
You know, like I don't know if how many people go to these games or anything like this, but low key, you mentioned a D-backs game. Like if Arizona State had like a home baseball game that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But had KD not sprained his ankle and missed 3 weeks this year, the Suns probably make the playoffs.
It's possible, yeah, because the second who's in the West 9-10 matchup right now that's about to tip off?
Sacramento.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh. And then the Heat just beat the Bulls, so they're gonna play Hawks.
They play Atlanta. Yeah, because Orlando beat the Hawks, which was a little bit. I was getting a little bit like we just love blowing large leads in the playoffs because they were up 20 against the Cavs last year in Game 7 and blew that. But nice performance by Cole Anthony. They are 2-1 against the Celtics this year. I think if Orlando is able to defend consistently and get out on the shooters, I think they have a shot to maybe extend this to 6. But I'm not holding out hope. And I think next year might be the year. I think Orlando is a much better team than the 7 seed. But when you're 2 of your better players in Suggs and Banchero are missing, Banchero missed like 36 games. I think Suggs missed like 15 to 20. When those 2 guys are missing games, you're going to play yourself into the play-in game. So hopefully next year is a little bit healthier where they're not going to be in that situation where they got to go play the Celtics. But before that, we got, I guess, Grant, I'll do do everything, talk about anything else, but we'll kick it over to you, Grant. What do you got for us for Curveball of the Week?
Okay, so kind of changing it up this week. I know we've asked questions before on the show. What's a movie you haven't seen that drives people crazy? What's a TV show that you haven't seen that drives people crazy? But I want to know, when you're talking to someone and they say, I haven't watched this show, and you sit back as a huge fan of that show, what show drives you crazy when people say they haven't seen it?
Ooh.
Oh, Grant, you know exactly what I'm going to say.
Ethan's going to say Grey's Anatomy.
No.
Oh!
Mine's animated.
Oh.
Family Guy or SpongeBob?
Hannah hates this show.
Yeah. SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
What?
She thinks it's the dumbest show ever. It's ridiculous.
What adult is she?
It's caused some pretty aggressive fights in our relationship, to say the least.
If there's one thing that will separate you two, it's her disdain for SpongeBob.
Uh-oh.
Like, who doesn't know if mayonnaise is an instrument? Like, who doesn't know that reference?
Well, Hannah, clearly she's never seen the show.
No, like, no one knows where Bikini Bottom... We all know where Bikini Bottom is. She doesn't.
I could be sitting around on a random Wednesday and text you guys and just be like, my leg! And y'all would laugh and just die of stupidity.
Hannah would send some emojis, some guy.
You know what, Grant? I'm glad you brought this up because on TikTok, there's been a trend of like TV shows where it's like somebody says something they don't get the reference, and it's just like an emotion from that show. But for me, it would have to be. Actually, I said The Sopranos, but now that after further thought, because I feel like for this show, you have to have watched the episodes through multiple times. So I think I gotta go with either The Ranch or Trailer Park Boys. More so Trailer Park Boys because it's such a cult classic, which also both of you two have never seen it. So I can't believe it because we lived together for a year and I probably watched through it like at least twice when you guys when we lived together.
I'm not gonna kind of just like Napoleon Dynamite. Like I suffered through that movie 20 years ago, and I've only seen it the one time. I probably watched 1 or 2 episodes of Trailer Park Boys, and I was just like, "What is this?" Like maybe I just need to start from maybe I just need to start from the beginning.
You do. That's your assignment for the summer is you got to watch you got to watch all that Trailer Park Boys episodes.
I'm just sitting, I'm watching it, and Dylan, you're busting an absolute nut, and I'm like, what is going on? Why does this man not have a shirt on, and why is his stomach absolutely fucking enormous right now?
Because he eats cheeseburgers and shirts give him a rash.
Oh my god!
Jesus.
Why is this guy holding cats all the time? This one dude always has a drink in his hand and a cigarette. I'm just like, what is going on right now?
That's a surprise. That's Ethan's bachelor party theme is Trailer Park Boys. We all got to dress like a Trailer Park Boys character.
Oh god.
No boy.
Or you got to walk around with a cut off 2-liter, like just the bottom of the 2-liter. That's your cup.
That's kind of funny. But yeah, I always watch it, Dylan, and I'm just like, what is this?
or The Office. The Office has to be up there too.
Yep. Again, I haven't seen The Office. I've tried to watch a couple episodes, and I'm just like, what is this?
Are you a communist?
I might be.
You might. It sounds like it. But Grant, what is the show that you can't believe people haven't watched?
So it's not when this show came out, because when it came out, it was on USA Network, and nobody's really watching USA. But since we have this thing called Netflix and streaming, like I can't believe people haven't gotten into Suits.
Oh, I've been seeing. I've thought about getting into it. I just haven't yet.
It's really good, Dylan. I'm such a big fan of that, and there's such a storyline that can last 3 or 4 episodes, 6, 7, 8 episodes, and you sit back and you're like, holy shit! Yes, these corporate lawyers are just absolute fucking filthy people, and they can get away with murder. But you have to be smart to think about a show like this, and I can't believe with Netflix and how popular it got 2 years ago when it was on there, people haven't seen it. Like I've seen it probably twice. And I love it.
Okay, I might have to get started on it. I guess do we have a deal brokered, Grant? If I watch Suits, you watch Trailer Park Boys?
Oh, boy.
The Trailer Park Boys episodes, they're only 20 minutes an episode, so you can burn through a good chunk of them in a couple hours.
I could. I'll do my best.
Okay, well, that's not a no. I might just have to send you a Snapchat when I start. Like, all right, here we go. Maybe that's what I do once I finish Entourage, because that's what I start on is Suits.
All right, that's fair.
Okay, all right. I think we have ourselves a deal. I guess we'll see each other in 2 weeks, so we'll have to shake then.
Mm-hmm. You got yourself a deal.
All right. All right. There it is. It's on the internet, so we have to hold each other to it. So I believe that wraps it up, this week's episode. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. I think this one we truly knocked out of the park. This has been a real good episode. Here, that was great sound, by the way, Grant. And if you come back next week is going to be our NFL draft preview. I'm thinking of some new ways to kind of spice things up, of where we don't do like our mock, where we walk through each pick team by team. I got some different ideas going through the brain and see how we do it. And I think I kind of want to do this where it's centered to our favorite teams. I think we try to find like a mock draft website where we all say we are going to draft as our favorite team. So Cowboys, Grant, Chiefs, Ethan, Vikings, and we do a mock draft. And whenever our team comes up, we would select who we would take based off how that mock draft goes.
Well, it looks like we're going to go to PFF next week.
So,
I mean, honestly, no one knows any freaking clue who the hell's going where.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward's going to be number 1 to the Titans.
That's the beautiful thing about it. Is I guess if we're just, are you saying
he confirmed that on Twitch?
Yeah, he said Treylon Burks is one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Oh boy, you got to love that boy's confidence. Boy, oh boy. Talk about an organization that just keeps getting in their own way.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh my God. Their biggest mistake was changing their uniforms 4 years ago, because their uniforms now suck.
They do.
God, they're awful.
This show did not suck. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Make sure you like, rate, subscribe, review, follow us on all of our social medias, 3GTV Podcast. And thank you again for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.